Hello and good evening. My name is Kenton and I am currently recording my opportunity assessment for the fast food industry. I have created a really cool idea that I think will work very well for the fast food industry as we see a couple different trends and analysis that I have found in my research. So, in addition to the paper, I also made a PowerPoint. For the purpose of this assignment, I'm going to be recording myself with my phone, and then I am also going to be transitioning back and forth to my computer so you can see the slides that I am referring to. Um, so, First off, I want to introduce that this is my opportunity assessment for the fast food industry, and this is filmed on July 4th, 2017. So, moving right along, we'll go ahead and start with the first slide. I'm going to show each slide one at a time, and then I will segue back to myself so that you can see me, understand what I'm talking about, and listen to how this new product idea and business opportunity has really inspired me. And I really, really hope someday that this opportunity assessment for this class could lead to something more successful in the near future. So you will have a copy of these slides. And so let's go on to the first slide. And this is just the introduction. So pretty much what I'm doing here is I just want to show everybody that the fast food industry um, has experienced some declining stocks. So when I did some research, I found that in December of 2016, quarter three showed in 2016 that for the first time in 5 years, um, the fast food industry had experienced a 1% decrease in their stocks. Now, this is very interesting because it hasn't happened in 5 years. So we're wondering what's going on here. When we look, there is a lot of different increasing trends, and we're just really curious why all of a sudden, sorry, that was my cat, why all of a sudden the fast food industry is experiencing a little bit of decrease. So I'm going to walk you through what I think is going on and what the research shows. So since there is a 1% decrease in sales, I did some research and found out what fast food companies are starting to do to rebound their sales. In my trend analysis, I wrote a report showing that they were, so in my most recent paper, I wrote a report showing that they were starting to come up with these wacky ideas like Taco Bell and their Cheeto burrito, or like McDonald's had some like chocolate covered fries, just like some crazy ideas. And what this was doing was bringing people into the doors simply to get them excited about this new wacky idea, and then hopefully that they would spend a lot of money on the fast food entire menu at a fast food chain. So when I did some more research, the number one most trending innovation of all time in fast food is the value menu. So we're starting to see the value menu has changed a little bit in the fast food industry. So you're not really seeing things for $1. You're seeing 4 for $4 at Wendy's, where you get 4 items like a burger, nuggets, fries, and like a small Coke for $4, or 5 items at Burger King for $4. So obviously the sandwich is the most expensive. So they're not just offering the sandwiches at $1, they're including other cheaper items like their drinks or their fries to compensate. But the biggest issue we're finding in all my research, especially with Karami 2016, is that fast food companies are coming back, but it's because their value menus, and their hope that since they're so limited, like their 4 for $4, McDonald's doing a 2 for $2, that they're hoping that people are discouraged by their opportunities and that they end up spending more money on the bigger $5 and $8 items. However, this became the perfect opportunity for me. And when I think of a dollar store, I think, you walk in and everything, like the Dollar General, not everything's a dollar, but everything's dollar focused. So it's like anywhere between $1 and $5, and you know that you're not going to spend more than that. And so what they do is they just work off a smaller margin, but compared to like a big grocery store, their inventory is smaller, and that's how they're allowed and able to compensate for this. So my idea was to come up with a business proposal for a restaurant that was super simple, only had 4 menu items, and I wanted to call it the Hungry Dollar. So it would be like pretty much the dollar store of fast food. We can see that through this analysis that the fast food business is growing interest in cheap menu items as people are having a hard time paying for groceries, and it's so much easier just to run up and grab something cheap at a fast food store. But this allows them to only purchase the cheap items, and there's some personal benefits for myself as the entrepreneur as well, to having such a limited menu item and only offer cheap items. So my business proposal is the Hungry Dollar, and my opportunity assessment is going to walk us through why I think this is going to be successful. So moving on to the second slide, this is in the opportunity assessment, this is the market phase. Okay, so now that you can see the market phase, I'm going to quickly walk us through how this is successful. So it's a fast food chain with a limited menu option, just like very similar to Raising Cane's. They only have 4 different menu items, so their inventory is very low. They only order the same products every week. They don't have to worry about one of their most expensive items being wasted because it went out of date. I remember when I worked at McDonald's, there was plenty of times where we might have these very expensive burgers that were only ordered like once a week, and they would still go out of date. So we ended up wasting all this food just because we had such a big menu and we couldn't keep up with it. So not only are fast food industry struggling because they can't keep up with selling their high menu items, they're just not selling them. So their overall volume in sales is coming from smaller menu items. So what I decided was I was going to sell 4 simple items: hamburgers, cheeseburgers, double cheeseburgers, and veggie burgers. Very basic. And so when you look at the competition, the hamburger focused industry is the most popular industry in the fast food market. You can see my pie graphs on this slide here. I will quickly cycle back to that just so you can see what I'm quickly referencing right here. So the big portion of the green is the beef industry, and so I felt like that would be the most successful industry to attack when talking about the fast food industry. And then, so what 5 big players go into effect in the market that I would be approaching? These are KFC, Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell, and Wendy's. These are all currently fast food chains that are offering some form of value menu package or bundle deal. And what they're doing is just trying to find some way to attract a consumer in the door with the hope of selling some of their bigger ticket items. And we can see that while I don't have the exact numbers, it's too soon for 2017, but there are in my paper you will see some of the authors of these articles are saying since these meal deals or bundle deals have been implemented, we are starting to see an increase back in fast food sales. So that's the market portion of my opportunity assessment. Now I want to segue into the data sources for the market. And so I'm going to show you the slide, and then I'm very excited about the slide. There's a couple of cool things going on here. So here is my slide for the data sources for market. Okay, so now that we've seen that, when reading the book by Dana Kander, and the All In Startup. She talks about the only way to be successful is to have a migraine problem. And so we're looking for consumers that are having challenges. What issue are they facing when they're looking for something to eat? What is a big problem for them? And so I remember when reading this book, one of the characters in the book thought that price was an issue for his bicycle company, so he started selling cheap bicycles. Well, that wasn't the problem. So when looking here, we see that this is very interesting. So 10%, only 10% so Americans spend only 10% of their income on food, whereas in some of the other countries, they're spending up to 50% of their income. So in America, we're seeing a more price-sensitive nature about these consumers. There's a lot more things that they would rather spend their money on, and they're not valuing food as one of them. So, in addition, when I did some research after Trump became president, in the last couple of years, the economy was growing by a much slower rate than it was before. So instead of growing at a 4% rate, it's now growing at a 2% rate, and eventually projections are showed that it's going to start going slower and slower as it takes longer for the White House and Congress to approve things, and so the economy could be struggling. And in that case, we will start to see where inferior goods such as fast food, these are less luxury items, people are less interested in them, and they will be more interested in the superior or inferior goods and less interested in the normal goods, which is like going out to a nice restaurant, the luxury items. So when the economy struggles, we see cheaper items becoming more and more popular, and that looks like the trend we're going in. Now, the growth of the fast food industry in the U.S. alone in 1970 was $6 billion, and in 2015 it spiked all the way up to $200 billion. So even though we saw a slight decrease in 2016, with the economy expected to go down again, I'm very confident that the fast food industry isn't going anywhere, and globally we're almost over $6 billion in sales, and 173 of those billion sales count for fast food alone in the restaurant industry. So I'm very confident that this market is the market to penetrate, especially with even just a small decline. 1% is very, very minute. So what kind of so when you do the opportunity assessment, not only do you need to see what's out there in the market, you need to see what the consumer is interested in, and clearly to me it's the price. They're just too worried about paying extra for something when they can get it cheaper. So one interesting thing before I segue into the next slide is that there was a study, and you'll see this in my paper, that attacked So about 4 years ago, it was claimed that there was this big health scare, and that's what was causing the fast food industry to kind of decline. People were more worried about health conscious things. So there was 50% of the fast food chains that adopted some kind of organic nature to them saw that the majority of their sales were ringing up between $5 and $7. So even though they adopted this organic philosophy because they thought that the consumer was more interested in healthy products, they were wrong. The consumer was more price sensitive than they were worried about health conscious prices. So in the fast food industry, consumers that eat fast food are not looking for healthy options. They're looking for cheap options. So no longer was the migraine problem of offering healthy food to fast food consumers a problem. The new migraine problem is offering it to them as cheap as possible while still making a profit. And so I have come up with this super simple model, which I believe will Not only is it only 4 items, it'll reduce my inventory. I won't have a bunch of these big heavy items weighing in my inventory. I won't have to waste them out. I can work with smaller amount of suppliers. It gives the consumer less options. I can serve them quicker, and I can serve more consumers